research on strategies and approaches to meet the SDG 12.3 goal of halving food waste and reducing food losses by 2030. Lily joined UNEP after completing her bachelor's degree at Stanford University, where she studied Earth systems, an interdisciplinary major considering the relationship of human and environmental systems through coursework that range from economics to environmental justice. Her prior work experiences at Los Angeles Mayor Office of International Affairs and nonprofit County Design Initiative were focused on advancing equity and sustainability through civic and design interventions at the city level. And with that, I hand over to you, Lily.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Lily, and I'm so delighted to be here today with you on the International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste to talk to you a bit about what UNEP does in tracking progress and delivering SDG 12.3. So, like Dr. Kanu, I'm going to start with some staggering statistics. Our 2021 Food Waste Index found this estimated 931 million tons of food wasted in 2019, and that's about 17% of all food that was available to consumers in that year. And we come to this problem from many different entry points. Food loss and waste generates 8 to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions, particularly methane, which is a potent greenhouse gas responsible for about 30% of the current rise in global temperature. It's also a very costly problem, estimated at $940 billion per year. And all of this is happening in the context of an ongoing food crisis. 1 in 9 of us, or 828 million people, are affected by hunger, and many more than that, about 3 billion, cannot afford a healthy diet. Additionally, there's this connection to biodiversity loss. 28% of the world's agricultural area is used to produce never-eaten food, and we know that the conversion of natural ecosystems for agriculture is a leading cause for habitat loss, yet this is land that is producing food that will never make it to a plate. And this is equivalent to about 1.4 billion hectares of land. So a waste of food is a waste of land that is precious, culturally significant, and critical to ecosystem health and carbon sequestration. And so UNEP's efforts on food waste reduction take place in the context of SDG 12.3, halving global food waste and reducing food losses by 2030. And the work that we do kind of takes place in 4 domains: data, advocacy, cooperation, and capacity building. And so I'll be talking kind of on 2 of our main projects today. And to speak a bit to data, SDG 12.3 provides a clear framework to measure and track progress on food loss and waste reduction. And just to kind of establish, food loss is what happens at the producer side, so food that is lost at production or along the supply chain, whereas food waste is more the consumer side, things that happen in the household, at retailers, and in food businesses. And so UNEP publishes the Food Waste Index, whereas FAO produces the Food Loss Index. And so this is our Food Waste Index report from 2021. A new one will soon be launching at COP28, and it will contain double the data points of the first. And the Food Waste Index report is the most comprehensive assessment of available national and global food waste data. And it also shares guidance and methodologies for countries on how to conduct these measurements, because global food waste data remains limited and measurement approaches have been highly variable. Yet this information is critical, and collecting this data can help countries identify where they need to act. And they can also see what sectors in which they're wasting most food. Is it in the household, in restaurants, which foods are being wasted, and start to get into why why each piece is being wasted. And having this data can inform and enhance government's climate action. So a little bit on what we do and how we do the food waste index. First, we do an online literature review of many studies from all over the world, and we filter out just the ones that deal with direct measurement and are fit for our purposes. And then we can adjust the data for underestimation or errors before normalizing it to per capita per year. And then it's possible to extrapolate estimates for countries that didn't have any estimates if a nearby country with a similar income level did. And we give each estimate a confidence rating. And then it helps us reach findings like this key finding that food waste is a problem everywhere. So in almost every country where food waste has been measured, it is significant, and it's not just an issue limited to high income countries. And you can see that here. So then this helps us make the case that middle and low income countries also really need support in tackling household food waste, which brings us to capacity building, another kind of domain that we work in, and the second project that I want to kind of share. These are our regional food waste working groups. So in partnership with RAP and Go for SDGs, UNEP hosts a series of workshops to support participants from these 25 countries in these 4 regions to develop capacity on food waste measurement and reduction. And our participants come from across sectors, government, NGOs, academia, businesses. And many of these countries in the working groups are focused on baseline setting and creating a case for action. So in these workshops, participants will learn about best practices and approaches for food waste reduction and measurement. They'll also get one-to-one support, and they'll be able to, importantly, kind of see initiatives happening that are in their own regions and be able to exchange with fellow participants. And so the waste hierarchy is this globally recognized approach that's been used for many years for making the most of resources. And this informs all of the content for our working groups and our workshops that I'll talk a bit more on the next slide. But you'll see that we're talking about things that happen at several stages of this kind of intervention. So the 4 kind of key approaches that we're talking about in this installation of workshops has been consumer behavior change, public-private partnerships, circular food systems, and the transition to a more circular food system, and policy and NDCs. And I just wanted to share a takeaway that we had from a recent workshop that was on consumer behavior change. And that is that consumer behavior change is not simply a call for individual action on the part of consumers, but changing consumer behavior will be a collective effort. And I found this example to be particularly illustrative. So it's not unusual to see food packaged like this on the left, but retailers and producers making the simple change of selling zucchini or courgette loose affords consumers the choice to buy just what they need, which is important particularly in smaller households and single-person households that are on the rise globally. And not to mention, this could also result in a reduction of plastic and also cost for the businesses as well. In the workshop, it was mentioned that, for example, in the UK, 70,000 tons of plastic are used every year to package fresh fruits and vegetables. So this is a simple change, but this is an example of an effective intervention consumers wouldn't be able to make alone. And it really will take all kinds, policymakers, business partners, to enable the behavior that we want to see, the behavior changes we want to see. And businesses are stepping up to take responsibility to make it easier for their customers to reduce food waste at home. And also on this International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste, I wanted also to place a spotlight on youth, because children and young people will shape the food scenario of the future. And I put this asterisk here because they are already shaping it. Youth were very present organizers at the UN Food System Summit, and they had very clear demands surrounding the marketing of unhealthy foods that target children, or decent wages for food workers, many of whom are youth, and just building a more resilient food system in general. But to bring this to food waste, what we know about children and food waste is that studies have shown that households with children are more likely to waste food than households without children. And this is due to a series of factors, but children are unpredictable eaters. They have varying appetites. They can be picky or easily attracted to marketed foods. So it's hard to plan for them and also to shop with them. And it also can be said that parents may also overprovide for children in wanting to fulfill caretaker duties in ways that may result in food waste as well. And then what we know about young adults from a study done by Zero Waste Scotland is that 18 to 34-year-olds waste proportionally more food than other age groups. And the study followed the habits of university students. And they found that this is like a stage of life where most people are starting to provision food for themselves independently for the first time. So a lack of skills or experience surrounding food planning, preparation, and management, or also a lack of proper fridge or cupboard space for storage, and a schedule that's unpredictable or very last minute, also results in increased food waste. So one thing in common among youth all across the board is that youth are building habits now that they're likely to keep for a long time. Young parents too, when as they become a parent and have to relearn these skills in food management provisioning for their kids, are also building habits. So when we're talking about consumer behavior change, thinking about targeting our efforts to meet people in these phases of life could be hugely influential. And schools are a great and direct place to meet youth and educate them on being food conscious citizens and consumers. So this is a project from 2020 where UNEP worked with nonprofit edible schoolyards to make these lesson plans that introduce young students to the path food may take before getting to kids' place and the scope of the problem of food waste in creative and digestible ways. So the lesson on the left shares how many dishes around the world have been born out of a way to save food. Dishes that we know like ravioli or fried rice or French toast or pickles even. And after being introduced to information on food waste, students are invited to reflect on their own food waste and family recipes. And then there are recipes that they can make at the end. And the other lesson plan on the right has students interview grandparents and elders about rituals surrounding food. And we know that food can teach a lot about culture, and the intergenerational exchange in this lesson can help teach kids how to value it more and waste less. And then we also have this initiative shared by one of our regional working group participants. This is Moshi Cooperative University in Tanzania, and they're leading peer-to-peer education on food waste reduction. And they aim to reach 50,000 school children and college students over 2 years. So here they have peer educators lead demos and experiential learning experiences regarding food waste and measurements. They'll also do follow-up visits and encourage the students to start their own clubs, keep it going at the school. And they'll also host school competitions. They'll engage public figures, use social media and television to engage wider audiences in their message. So that was a really neat example from one of our participants in our regional working group. And I wanted to wish you all a happy International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste today. UNEP co-convenes this day with FAO, and official celebrations are happening in person for the first time in Rome. but there are several other celebrations happening all across the world, and many of them are available to join online. So after this presentation, I will be sharing the link to our calendar at stopfoodlosswaste.org, so you can also take a look at all the events happening. And lastly, I'd just like to invite you to join our hashtag Every Plate Counts challenge by making a meal of food saved, taking a picture, and tagging us and your friends on social media. Reducing food waste is a tangible climate action that we can all do today. So, thank you very much. This is my contact information, and happy International Day of Awareness on Food Loss and Waste. Hi, sorry, Dr. Kanu, I'm unable to hear you.
Hello, sorry. I think that's one of the big challenges we have to deal with, muting and unmuting the microphone. So, but yeah, thank you so much for such a fantastic presentation. And I will encourage everyone to please join in Every Plate Count Challenge. I think it's really important that we do support these campaigns, because it is just a way we get the message out. It's a way we show our support to demonstrate that this is something that we all really need to act on, and it's just that collaborative effort that will help drive that change. Some very important points you've raised there. Acknowledging Zero Waste Scotland. Yeah, we're here in Scotland, so it's good that you mentioned the fact that they did this research with young people, and it's also important to see looking into that aspect, that stage in life, that demography, and what it means for them, especially the challenges they're facing in that transition. So it's really important to bring that point. And the main thing is that when we know this, when we have better information and better insight, it helps us to then develop strategies to really address the problem. How can these young people be better supported, to be more informed, and to be, make better decisions going forward? And it is really very interesting to see Zero Waste Scotland report being highlighted in that presentation. And kudos to Zero Waste Scotland for the amazing work they're doing. We've worked with them in the past, and we continue to explore other ways to continue to work together, because it's really important, especially also with RAP, also trying to acknowledge what the work that RAP is doing across the world. What the Waste Resource and Action Program of the UK government, work they're doing trying to help educate and create awareness about food loss and waste, I think is really important. Thank you so much, Lily, for joining us today and sharing all this insight. We look forward to further engagement in the future. And I don't know if you have any, you've already said a lot already. I don't know if you have any last word you want to say to the participants before we end this session.
Just thank you for having me, and I hope we all work together on this in the future.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And the last word, please do support the Every Plate Count Challenge. Let's do it
Yes.
together, because we know we can do it. We can make the change. We can help reduce food loss and food waste. We can transfer more food and make it more available to more people. Thank you,
Yes,
Lily.
and hopefully that link has been also shared in the chat to the
Yes. Okay.
yes.
Great, Maria. Please help us to put that in the chat so that people can engage with it. Well, thanks, Lily. It's a pleasure having you. And my greetings to everyone at FAO office, and mostly to Clementine, who has really made it possible for you to join us today. My greetings to all. Cheers.
Thank
Well, it's quite an insightful presentation that we've had already. I hope we've got some key takeaways from that. I just love when we have actions to take after presentations. Do engage with the Every Plate Count Challenge. Let's make this work. Moving on now, we'll be having a quick 5-minute break.